on this project, I am Stuart and Untitled Project's Associate Artist. So I have been Stuart's Assistant Director, I have been taking on some assistant producer roles, I've done a lot of casting for the work, I have directed the tableau vivant, I'm also running the social media for Untitled Projects and all of the coverage that we have for the Salon Project online. This project's been incredibly exciting to work on because we could never foresee what it was going to be like until the audience came in. So the whole build-up was such a huge sort of tension for everyone working on it, because you could only do so much during the tech and the setup, and even the dress rehearsal. The dress rehearsal only had 20 people in it. So it was the moment when we had all 60 people in here on the first night was unbelievable. Just the buzz of everyone. You could see everyone gleaming that we hadn't messed it up. So it's incredibly exciting. The wonderful thing is that each audience is basically the same. I mean, there are a few details that have been leaked through reviews and that kind of stuff now, but everybody is just in complete awe when you walk in. And that first hour is such a unique part of the evening. Because we're dressing people in segments, it's almost like everything happens all over again once a new group of people in. Someone walking in is just as much of an entrance as a bunch of naked people walking in for the tableau, or 3 gramophones coming in for the DJ set at the beginning. It's wonderful because I'm one of the guides for the show, so I'm here every single night, and as a guide you explain to the audience that you're not taking on a character, and there's that moment of relief for all the audiences when they come in, when they know that they don't have to be someone from a Jane Austen novel. But what's really wonderful is you see that once everyone gets in here, there is something otherworldly that happens. The way that you sit up properly, the way that you stand up properly because the clothes don't allow you to slouch as much, the way that the women in particular are held so differently to the way that their clothing is now. Everyone's transformed when they enter into this space. The initial thing that Stuart came to this from was being an extra on a period film, and he very much enjoyed the experience of being fussed over and being tarted up and made to look the best he can. And that's usually what I articulate to our audience, is that he wanted to replicate that experience for members of the public, where someone actually wants you to look the very best that you possibly can. So that, I think, is such an immersive, beautiful experience for the audience. And once they get in here, it's about conversation. It's about, for once, standing in front of someone and having a genuine conversation. You don't necessarily have to know them, but there's been topics raised, there's been provocations provoked, there's been a wealth of information that there is to talk about, and we're not doing it through a computer screen, we're not doing it remotely by phone, we're standing in front of someone having an amazing conversation. And if not, then you can walk around and bask in the elegance and listen to the beautiful music and witness these incredibly exceptional speakers doing it. So I think it's basically what you make of it yourself. I think ones that have been, I myself have found being in a situation where I don't know everybody who's here, and actually just genuinely having a chat about politics, about art, about technology, about advancements, how we're going to be in the future. They're generally the kind of things that we've been talking about. But then, to someone who hasn't seen the project or been part of it, it's not elitist. It's not something that becomes an impenetrable topic that only a certain intellectual level can deal with. I had a wonderful conversation the other day about how terrible it is that we expect men and women to behave still in these traditional masculine and feminine ways. And it was a huge conversation with an 85-year-old man and a 22-year-old girl and a 40-year-old woman who had 3 children. And we all were debating various different things, and it wasn't this high intellect, it was basically just this very pertinent social question that at the time we wanted to discuss. I think there is, to a certain extent. I think, partly it's just in the costuming. For example, the men in the salon, there's a reason why men's clothing in formal wear has not changed for years, because everyone looks good in a tux. So I think there's always that wonderful thing when you split up a husband and wife partnership, so the wife gets dressed in one area, the man gets dressed in the other area, and then they see each other, and there's just always this excitement that they look so good and look so different to how they do normally. Because suddenly everyone is on a level playing field, you've all had to go through that dressing process, you've all had to be put in something that you're slightly unfamiliar with. And there's a real elegance there and a vulnerability that, because we've facilitated it to be a comfortable setting, yeah, we've certainly had I've witnessed some flirtations. We've had a couple of people emailing us back and saying, oh, there was this guy that I saw, and would you be able to? And we've done a wee bit of email matchmaking. Stuart's vision for the tableau vivant was to create an image that replicated or was along the lines of how a tableau vivant worked within a traditional 19th century salon. The vivant was a still image that was made through with naked people that was constructed in the room and either had a socio-political motive or was simply a depiction of beauty. So it was sometimes a recreation of a painting of forms, and so it was recreated. And for our one, we wanted to do in a similar way, but still keep with a socio-political edge. So Stuart's vision was to have originally a large image with 12 naked participants who were involved in a visual image that looked between two extremes, one of poverty and one of affluence, with a sort of central neutral figure in the middle. What we came about was this much more gentler flirtation to a certain extent, slightly undercutting this opulent nature of the costuming of everybody, so that the participants were still naked, but were using modern technological items that jarred very directly with the old-fashioned setting that we had created. The audience reacts to it really in so many different ways. I'd love to see it done as part of our salon event in a European country that wasn't Britain, for example, because a lot of the first reactions is, oh my goodness, there's naked people, I must run away. So there's a lot of people who kind of fleet to the sides or make sure they're nowhere near someone's genitals because it's frightening. But after a while, because it's held for such a long time, people get used to it and start really kind of examining why it's there and what it's there for. And it's generally been a massive talking point right through the end of the night, to a point where today on the Guardian review, there's been a comment with a couple of people saying that they were devastated to have missed the tableau vivant, as it's only seen by two of the sections of the audience, not the third one, just because of our timings. The surprising element for me is how amazing the response has been. I always knew it was going to be successful. I always knew it was a good idea. I always knew how excited everyone was going to be by it. But seeing people walking into this space looking like $1 million and feeling absolutely beautiful about themselves is, for me as a theatre maker, one of the most enjoyable things about this experience. People leaving it genuinely not wanting to go. We've had so many times at the end of the night that people have stayed on much longer than they were meant to, and at the end of the night, you know, having audible, oh, do I have to go home? Yes, you do. It's a theatre, see you later. But it's, yeah, that's been the best bit of it, that everybody seems to have an amazing time.